Lawmakers in Illinois are already among the highest paid in the country. I think like it's $64,000 for a state representative, even more for a state senator. But then you also get added in per diem whenever they have to come to Springfield and travel costs, hotel costs as well. So state lawmakers in Illinois already make quite a bit. And they make more every year unless lawmakers take actual action to freeze their pay, which has happened in the past. They didn't do it this last budget, but they've done it before where it seemed to be politically expedient or whatever the case may have been. But several years ago when they did this, some lawmakers, they approved it, part of a budget package. But then after they got out of office, they then sued the state for what they said was an unconstitutional infringement on their pay. Well, that case, years old, finally made it to the Illinois Supreme Court yesterday. I'm Greg Bishop. It is Springfield's Morning News at 7:12 on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk. And let's get into this because it deals with just that fact that you've got the highest paid state lawmakers among the highest paid. One chart I saw, it actually had Illinois as the highest paid, so I got to double check those numbers, but it's considerably higher than Missouri and other states, and it's something that I think some people see as a way people get enriched when it comes to being a public servant, especially the likes of being an elected public servant, let alone the possible pensions they get afterwards, like, for instance, former State House Speaker Michael Madigan facing indictment. He's got, 22 counts against him of racketeering and bribery and extortion. That case is ongoing. He's pleaded not guilty, but he's getting, $7,000 a month in pensions from his decades of being an elected representative. So interesting to see that play out, too. But back in 2017, former state senator Michael Noland, he sued over raises that he said he was owed, even though he voted to freeze his own pay. Former state senator James Claiborne from Belleville, he joined that lawsuit later. The case went through the circuit court, went through the appellate court, and now Wednesday it made it all the way to the Illinois Supreme Court. And here are some of the arguments. You're going to hear from the Assistant Attorney General Richard Husag, who represented the Illinois Comptroller as the defendants, and the plaintiff's attorney Michael Scotti, appointed Special Assistant Attorney General, arguing for the plaintiffs in this case to get that back pay that they claim that they are deserved, because they say that it was an unconstitutional infringement of their rights to get regular pay increases as state legislators. And again, this case was filed all the way back in 2017 by first Michael Noland and then eventually by James Claiborne joining that suit. So here's some of the arguments from yesterday's Illinois Supreme Court action. Here with Springfield's Morning News, I'm Greg Bishop on WMAY.
And I urge the court to reverse the circuit court's judgment to the extent that it entered a money judgment against the state for approximately $175,000 for back pay claimed by two individual former senators of the Illinois Senate. These two individuals served in the Illinois Senate for many years. They voted for, and publicly touted their sponsorship and votes for these laws that after the Great Recession imposed furlough days on members of the General Assembly and reduced their annual salary adjustments. And after the first named plaintiff, Mr. Noland, left office, he then sued saying, well, those laws that I voted for are unconstitutional. Later, former Senator Claiborne joined the case. These plaintiffs have voted for these laws, and they're saying that they shouldn't even apply to new terms in office that they had that began after one of these laws took effect, and we take issue with that. And the fact that they are seeking a money recovery against the government payable to them personally is enough to establish that they are not seeking to enforce a personal right. Even if the court rejected all of our defenses, their recovery should be reduced to the extent of the valid application of these statutes under the theory that the statutes are unconstitutional only as applied, not on their face.
The purpose of this lawsuit was to protect and vindicate the independence of each legislator of the General Assembly. Between 2009 and 2018, the General Assembly passed legislation each year eliminating the cost of living adjustments, which I'll refer to as COLAs, increases in legislator salaries, and imposing mandatory furlough days on legislators to also reduce their salaries midterm by 1 day a month. Doing so is directly contrary to Article 4, Section 11 of the Constitution, which bars any change in salary of the legislator during their term of office. They voted on these bills, many of them were omnibus bills, so it wasn't just this one provision. In this particular case, it was not a clear cut to these people, these senators, that what they were doing was unconstitutional. The comptroller's own actions show that to be the case.
They have the ability, under standing principles, to seek any relief in favor of them personally, but they can't turn that into a foot in the door principle to try and get relief on behalf of anybody else that they don't officially represent. Unless the court has any questions, I urge the court to reverse and remand as indicated in our brief.
Number 127239, Michael Nolan et al., appellees, cross appellants versus Susanna Mendoza, appellant, cross appellee, will be taken under advisement and known as agenda number 7.
So the Illinois Supreme Court taking that under advisement, meaning they're not going to rule from the bench, will get a ruling at some point. And could it be that they just dismiss the case outright and remand it back to the circuit court, or do they award the $175,000 it's estimated to cost taxpayers here, or do they modify it to only give them the pay raises they say they deserved midterm, but nothing after that? So it'll be interesting to see just exactly how this plays out at the Illinois Supreme Court as they now have that in their hands. And you're hearing it here with Springfield's Morning News.